Mets fans, voices rising up from the stands. Hear their cheers, hear their groans, feel their highs, feel their moans. Stories untold now on the mic. Mets fans unite.
Welcome back to the Meet the Mets Fans podcast, the podcast bringing a true voice to Mets fans just like you. My name is Stefan Singh. I'm the host of the pod, and today I have a special guest with me. If you've ever been to Citi Field and found your eyes drifting towards a jersey covered with hundreds of orange and blue pins, then you already know exactly who I'm talking about. This guy's one of the most recognizable superfans in Queens. He's a walking museum of Mets memories. He's a guy that brings as much energy to the ballpark as any player on the field, and it's my pleasure to welcome onto the Meet the Mets Fans podcast, Queens native, Pinman, Nick Giampetro. Pinman, welcome to the pod.
Hey guys, how are you? Thanks for having me. My pleasure to be here.
I'm super excited to have you on, and the whole premise of this pod is to bring Met fans an opportunity to tell their stories and share what their journey in being a Mets fan is all about. So I'd love to hear you tell us all that story, the origin story of Pinman. Where did this idea first start? How did you become the super fan that you are?
Okay, it started like in 2006. Actually, I was always a big Met fan, but I went to the Aqueduct Flea Market, and they had this 25 pin set, and right away I fell in love with it. I wasn't even a pin collector. You know, I had one pin, I think it was a Gil Hodges pin that was in my top drawer that I got in like 1971 from Shea. But I fell in love with this set, and I wound up buying a whole bunch of the sets of the pins. I'm talking about cases and giving them out to kids. So one day I started wearing them, and my friend Anthony kept calling me, Nick, 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 and I wasn't listening. He goes, yo, Pinman. And right away it clicked. I said, I'm going to get the word Pinman put on my back and put a whole bunch of all the pins on the jersey and be known as Pinman. And then I added some lights and some scrolls and stuff. And the rest is history, pretty much.
Amazing, amazing. So you have been shown on TV, right? You're highlighted by media. There's articles that have been written about you, well recognized around the stadium. What does it feel like to be a part of the game day atmosphere in such a visible way?
It's just a great feeling that all the Met fans come up. They all say hi. They all start talking to me. Can I have a photo with you and everything? It makes me feel that, you know, I'm doing something to make people happy. And also with the love of my Mets, you know, put it both together. It's a great situation.
Yeah, it's amazing. How long? So it's a visually iconic look, right? How long does it take to get the full Pinman set up, ready to go for a game?
Well, when I first get the jersey ready, like say the beginning of the year, it takes about 3 hours. You know, I usually transfer them. I got like 20 something old jerseys with all holes in them. They only last maybe about a year or so, maybe some of them 2. But now I usually have 2 or 3 jerseys ready to go. But during the for the game or the new homestand, I usually change all the batteries, and it takes time, but I get it ready for the homestand, and it's, you know, when it's ready to go, I'm happy. During the homestand, I always gotta, you know, check things, make sure the pins are staying on. You know, I've lost probably hundreds of pins, but I never checked the lost and found.
Are there any certain pins that hold a deeper personal meaning for you? Specific pins that those are always on the jersey, they don't come off?
Yeah, well, I have a lot of pins like that I've gotten from people. I don't know if you could see this one right here. This one is from the '86 Mets when they played the Red Sox, and that one is usually my favorite. And I was at Game 6 and Game 7, so that's, you know, it's been a long time since we won a championship, so I hold that dear to my heart, that pin. And now I got my own pin. I don't know if you could see that there.
You know, the Pinman pin, that's essential. Citi Field needs to be selling a Pinman
They
pin.
should be. I don't know what they're waiting for. This is my 18th year. Actually, next year is going to be year number 20 that I'm been Pinman. So time flies, and I started when I was young. Now I'm just a little older.
You look great, man. You look great. The energy that you bring is contagious, and it's important that we have that as Met fans.
Thank you.
In terms of the collecting process of the pins, is there a way that new pins get added? Like, Do fans send them to you? Do you get them from vendors, special events, the Mets? How do you get the new pins, and how do you decide which pins go on the jersey?
Sure. Well, when I first started, I had the 25 pin set. All those pins, they're pretty much weeded out. I don't have any, but I buy a lot of them at Citi Field. And I used to go to this place on Metropolitan Avenue where they would, any pin I wanted, they would just charge me $1. So I got a lot of pins that way. And they at Citi Field too, they also had a trading thing in the outfield, and I would bring pins and trade and get some nice pins that way too.
Awesome. What would you say is the coolest and most emotional fan interaction you've had because of the pins? Are there any stories about the pins in regards to your interactions with fans that stick out to you?
Just have a lot of people that, from almost 20 years now, I've been doing it. I went to Atlanta and this guy works over there. He goes, "Are you the original Pinman from Shea?" And he showed me a picture of him at Shea Stadium when he was young and I had given him a pin. So it's like people don't forget me when I do something, when I give them a pin, they appreciate it. Just people coming up to me and just wanting my picture. Everybody's they're all the same. I don't know how to say. They all touch my heart, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's a beautiful story. You've seen a lot of Mets baseball.
Oh, yeah.
What moments still give you chills, and what are the heartbreaks that you'll never forget?
Well, I guess we'll start with I was at the good moments is game 6 and game 7 in the World Series at Shea Stadium in '86. I had a partnership with my friend, and I said, I'll take game 6 and game 7. I didn't even think there was going to be a game 6 or 7 because the Mets were so good. So being at game 6, that always stays with 2 out, nobody on, and they're coming back to win the game. And game 7 also was academic, but they were down by 3 runs early. So those games stay with me. Also, the game with Mike Piazza when he hit the home run when the Mets scored like 10 runs against the Braves with 2 out. I felt like we were jumping up and down for like 10 minutes straight. And the heartbreaker, I guess, was against the Cardinals when they lost the game where Andy Chavez made that great catch. But also watching on TV when I think it was Rogers against the Braves and he walked Andrew Jones on 4 pitches with the bases loaded. That's, that one hurt, especially being to the Braves.
All right, Nick, Pinman, I want to do a little bit of a quick segment. We're going to call it the quick pitch segment. I'm going to throw out to you just a couple of prompts, and then I want you to give me your 1 or 2 word response to each of these prompts, okay?
All right, let's see.
So, your favorite Met of all time?
Tom Seaver.
Okay. Shea Stadium or Citi Field?
My heart was torn with Shea, but I went there like for 42 years, but now I love Citi Field, so it's been a while. You get over the loss, I guess you can say, but I love Shea. I mean, I really did. That's where I grew up. That was my second home.
David Wright or Mike Piazza?
I'd probably have to say David Wright, being he was a lifelong Met. But Piazza was right up there. I mean, he had some great years, and nobody was more happy than me when we got him, when we signed him.
Which collapse is worse, 2007, 2008, or last year?
Last year, unfortunately, we saw it coming, but I think 2008, being it was the last year at Shea, I actually was the last person. I hung out there outside. I just didn't want to leave. I knew, that was the end, and I actually stayed there, and all of a sudden a thunderstorm came, and I literally was the last one to leave. And then I met some people that worked at Shea, and they had uniforms that they wear, and usher uniforms, and they gave me their shirts. I still have a few of them. Yeah.
Best of their time, who's better, Jacob deGrom or Doc Gooden?
That's a tough one. I mean, Doc, they both were lights out. They were unbelievable, but it's hard. It's hard to say. It's a toss-up. But
I'll take a toss-up. Best Mets manager, Bobby V, Terry Collins, or I'll give you an other if you think it's not one of the two of them.
I have to say probably Gil Hodges, I think. He got us our first world championship, and we came from, I think, like 10th place the year before. We were 9th place, whatever it was, and out of nowhere, we won the whole thing. And you got to give him all his credit. It's a shame that he had passed the way he did with his heart attack. But as I said, he was the first pin that I had was a Gil Hodges pin.
Which jersey do you dislike the most, the City Connects or the black jersey?
I'm not a fan of the City Connects. And the black ones I like. A lot of people don't like either one, but The City Connect, I just never, it's just purple and gray. It just doesn't fit the Mets. I'm sorry. Looks like a Colorado Rocky version.
What's your favorite food item at Citi Field?
Actually, I really don't buy too much stuff over there. I worked in a food place and I usually bring my food and I eat healthy. But
Gotcha.
the steak sandwich, I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Prized pin. I know you might have said this earlier. Most prized pin on the jersey right now.
Well, I guess, I mean, I got a lot of good ones. I got here the final from Shea. Can't see this close. I got the 69 pin. Yeah, 1969 when they had their reunion. I mean, there's the Ralph Kiner pin. I don't know if you could see that over there.
Yep, I see it.
Usually the pins I like the most. I mean, I got a Mike Piazza pin right here. And I like all my pins. I guess it became
Hard to decide. Hard to decide.
became crazy. You know what I'm saying? Became overwhelming when the Mets didn't make the playoffs in the early 2000s. I spent all my playoff money buying more pins.
Good reinvestment of the money.
Yes,
If Pinman had a walk-up song at Citi Field, what would it be?
boy, that's a tough one. I like the seventh inning stretch by Billy Joel. I always put him
Okay.
Pin Man for the words. Sing us a song, I'm the Pin Man. So I guess that would be my walk-up song.
Yankees, Braves, Phillies. Who are the Mets' real rivals or biggest rivals?
Yankees, it's the New York thing. But if we wind up changing divisions in our division, then they'll probably be our biggest rival. But New York and Philly fans, we don't get along too well. And the Mets and Braves always had a big rivalry. So I'd probably say the Mets and Phillies at this point.
One word to describe Met fans.
Passionate, I'd have to say. Very passionate.
I hear you. Your take on Edwin Diaz, Pete Alonso. Should the Mets bring him back?
Of course, we definitely need, Alonso, you can't replace 125 RBIs. It's impossible, you know what I'm saying? And we got the money to spend. He proved himself last year. Diaz was the relief pitcher of the year. You got to have him back. You can't have him go to it, especially to a team that might, come back to haunt us. You know what I'm saying? So I'd like to get them both back for sure.
We do a segment that we call the Mets GM game. So we'll take that as part of the Mets GM game segment for you.
Okay.
Your wish list, though. So we bring back Pete, we bring back Edwin. Who else do you want to see the Mets go out and get? If you were the GM of the team, who are you signing?
I want to see if they can get Scooble, maybe not Dante Bichette, Bo Bichette. I don't know what's going to happen with McNeil and Nimmo. They're talking about they might trade him, so that depending on what they do with them, then we can fill the spots in there. But we definitely need some relief pitching and starting pitching. So the guy on Milwaukee, if he's available, what's his name?
Peralta,
exactly. We could probably use him. That would be a great pickup. I don't know if Milwaukee's willing to let him go or trade. So we'll see what happens.
They said they'll listen, but they're not looking to move him. Maybe they'll listen to David Stearns. He did sign the guy there, so
Exactly.
maybe he's got a connection there that can make that happen. He's on a great contract.
Yeah.
We'll close out with this, and I really thank you, Nick.
My pleasure.
What do you hope people remember about Pinman, both as a Mets fan and as part of the larger Mets community?
That I was just always friendly with everybody, and I never said no to anybody who wanted a picture. Just somebody who's friendly and feels the Met fans' pain, unfortunately. But we're going to change that very soon.
Yeah. Hopefully this is our year. I think Met fans are really excited, and we'll get even more excited when the moves start happening.
Exactly.
Pinman, I really thank you for coming on the pod with me. This is amazing having you out here. Met fans that are out here listening, when you see Pinman in the ballpark, say hello. Super friendly guy. Nick from the neighborhood, right? Like, make sure that you guys shout this guy out. He's doing wonderful things to bring the vibes to Citi Field and to make our fandom a little bit more special. So thanks, Nick. Thanks, Pinman, for joining me on the pod. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets. All right, Met fans, there you have it. A beautiful interview with Pinman. Hoping you all enjoyed that segment. A true Met fan telling his story, how he became Pinman, his passion for the team. If you want to be a fan that gets onto this podcast to tell us your story, that's what we're all about. I invite you all to sign up by emailing me, DMing me on social media. If you email me at meetthemetsfan25@gmail.com, we'll get you signed up. We'll plan the entire thing together. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and share the pod to your fellow Met fans. Thanks for listening to Meet the Mets fans, real Met fans telling their stories about our lovable loser team. Let's go Mets.
Meet the fans, meet the fans, meet the Mets fans.